My mother looked me in the eyes across the dining room table and said the words that would change everything. "You're not my daughter anymore." Not in private. Not in a moment of anger we could take back later. She said it in front of my father, in front of my sister Lauren, in front of Lauren's fiancé Brad, at what was supposed to be a celebration dinner for Lauren's engagement. I sat there, fork halfway to my mouth, trying to process what I just heard. "What did you say?" My mother's face was cold. No tears, no emotion, just ice. "You heard me, Rebecca. After what you've done, after the choice you've made, you are no longer my daughter. I don't have a daughter who would betray her family like this." I looked at my father. He was staring at his plate, silent. I looked at Lauren. She was looking at Brad, her hand on his arm, like she needed support to get through this moment. And I realized something. This wasn't a spontaneous outburst. This wasn't my mother losing her temper. This was planned, coordinated. An execution. They'd brought me here to disown me in front of witnesses to make it official. I put down my fork, folded my napkin, pushed back my chair, and I stood up. "Okay." That was all I said, one word. My mother looked surprised, like she'd expected me to cry, to beg, to apologize for whatever sin I'd committed. I didn't give her the satisfaction. I picked up my purse, walked to the door, and left my parents' house without looking back. I got in my car, drove home to my apartment in Minneapolis, and I didn't cry, not that night, not the next day. I just went silent. For 7 days I didn't call them, didn't text them, didn't reach out. And for 7 days they didn't reach out to me either. Then on day 8 my phone started ringing. Mom, calling. I looked at her name on the screen, and I let it ring until it went to voicemail. 2 hours later, Dad, calling, I let it ring. That evening, Lauren, calling, I let it ring. And I realized something important. They'd made their choice when they disowned me. Now I was making mine. Before I tell you what I'd done that was so terrible, what my family's real motivation was, and what happened when they finally realized I wasn't coming back, please like this video and let me know in the comments where you're listening from. Because this is a story about what happens when your family chooses someone else over you and you choose yourself instead. My name is Rebecca Ann Hartman. I'm 32 years old. And I need to tell you who I was in my family so you understand why that dinner happened the way it did. I was born in 1992 in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the first child of Richard and Susan Hartman. For 3 years I was their only child, their everything, the center of their world. And then Lauren was born. Lauren Marie Hartman arrived in 1995, and from the moment she took her first breath, everything changed. She was beautiful, perfect, an easy baby who slept through the night, smiled at everyone, charmed every person she met. I was 3 years old and suddenly I wasn't the center anymore. I want to be clear about something. I never hated Lauren. This isn't a story about sibling rivalry or jealousy. This is a story about parents who chose one daughter over the other, consistently, for 29 years. Lauren was the golden child. I was the forgotten one. When Lauren wanted to take dance classes, my parents enrolled her immediately, drove her to lessons 3 times a week, bought her expensive costumes for recitals, attended every performance. When I asked to take art classes, my mother said, "Art isn't practical, Rebecca. You need to focus on your grades." When Lauren made the cheerleading squad in high school, my parents threw a party, bought her new clothes, put a bumper sticker on their car. When I made the honor roll every semester for 4 years straight, my father said, "That's nice, sweetie," and went back to reading his newspaper. When Lauren applied to colleges, my parents hired a private counselor, toured 15 different schools, helped her write essays. When I applied to colleges, my mother handed me a book about financial aid and said, "Figure it out. You're smart enough." I got into the University of Minnesota on a partial scholarship, paid for the rest with student loans and part-time jobs. Lauren got into a private liberal arts college in Vermont. My parents paid the full $60,000 a year. Tuition, room, board, spending money. Everything. "Lauren needs more support than you do," my mother explained when I asked why they'd pay for her school but not mine. "You've always been independent. Lauren needs us." Translation: you were never as important. I graduated from college in 2014 with a degree in software engineering. Got a job at a tech startup in Minneapolis making $55,000 a year. My parents came to my graduation, took one photo, left early because they had dinner plans. Lauren graduated in 2017 with a degree in communications and no job prospects. Moved back home. My parents supported her for 2 years while she figured out what she wanted to do. When I bought my first car in 2015, a used Honda, my mother said, "That's practical." When Lauren wanted a new car in 2018, my parents bought her a brand new Volkswagen. $32,000. I moved into my own apartment in 2016, one bedroom, 600 square feet. I was proud of it. My parents visited once. My mother looked around and said, "It's small, but I'm sure it's what you can afford." Lauren lived at home until 2020, rent-free. My parents cooked for her, did her laundry, treated her like a guest. And through all of it, I told myself it was fine, that I didn't need their approval, that I was building my own life, but it hurt every single time. Then in 2022, Lauren met Brad Morrison, 35 years old, investment banker, made over $300,000 a year, drove a Tesla, lived in a penthouse condo downtown. My parents loved him immediately. Finally, my mother said at the first family dinner after Lauren introduced Brad, someone successful, someone who can take care of Lauren. They got engaged in August 2024. Brad proposed on a yacht in Lake Minnetonka, helicopter ride, professional photographer, the whole production. My parents cried with joy. Started planning the wedding immediately, and that's when everything fell apart. Because 2 weeks before that engagement dinner, I made a decision that my family would never forgive. I need to back up and tell you about Marcus Chen. I met him in January 2024 at a tech industry conference in Chicago. He was 34, a software architect. Brilliant, funny, kind. He worked for a startup in San Francisco developing AI applications for healthcare. We talked for hours at a networking event, exchanged numbers, started texting, then video calls, then flights back and forth between Minneapolis and San Francisco every few weeks. By May, we were serious. By July, we were in love. "I want you to move to San Francisco," Marcus said during one of my visits. "I know it's a big ask, but I can't imagine my life without you, and there are amazing tech jobs here. You'd have no problem finding work." I thought about it, really thought about it. I loved my job in Minneapolis, but it wasn't my dream job. It was stable, comfortable, but not fulfilling. I loved my apartment, but I wasn't attached to it. And my family, I saw them maybe once a month. Obligatory dinners where my parents asked about Lauren's life and barely acknowledged mine. What was really keeping me in Minneapolis? Nothing. So in August, I gave my notice at work, told my landlord I wouldn't be renewing my lease, started applying for jobs in San Francisco. By mid-August, I had 3 job offers, all paying significantly more than my Minneapolis salary. I accepted a position at a mid-sized tech company, $85,000 a year, stock options, full benefits. Everything was falling into place. I decided to tell my family at Lauren's engagement dinner. I thought they'd be happy for me, excited that I'd found someone I loved, proud that I was taking a risk and pursuing something bigger. I was wrong. The dinner was at my parents' house, a celebration for Lauren and Brad. My parents had cooked Lauren's favorite meal, bought champagne, decorated the dining room. We were halfway through dinner when my mother asked, "Rebecca, you've been quiet tonight. Is everything okay?" "Actually, yes, everything's great. I have some news." Lauren looked up, interested. "What kind of news?" "I'm moving to San Francisco. I met someone. His name is Marcus. We've been together for 8 months. He's wonderful, and I got an amazing job offer out there. I'm leaving in 3 weeks." Silence. Heavy, awful silence. My father put down his fork. "You're moving across the country for a man you've known for 8 months?" "I'm moving for a career opportunity. And yes, to be with Marcus. We're serious. We're building a life together." My mother's face hardened. "What about Lauren's wedding?" "What about it? The wedding isn't until next June. I'll fly back for it." "You'll fly back like a guest? You're supposed to be the maid of honor." I looked at Lauren. "I never agreed to be maid of honor. You never asked me." Lauren's face flushed. "I was going to ask you tonight, after we announced the engagement. I thought it was obvious." "Nothing about our relationship has ever been obvious, Lauren. We're not close. We haven't been close since we were kids." "That's not true," my mother said, her voice rising. "You're sisters. Your family, we're related. That's not the same thing as being close." My mother stood up from the table. "This is unbelievable. Your sister is getting married." the most important day of her life. And you're abandoning her to run off with some man we've never even met. I'm not abandoning anyone. I'm moving for my career and my relationship. Those are normal, healthy reasons to relocate. What kind of person leaves their family for a man they barely know? Someone who wants to build their own life instead of living in their sister's shadow. The words came out before I could stop them. Honest, raw, true, Lauren gasped. My father's face went red and my mother's eyes turned to ice. That's when she said it. You're not my daughter anymore. After I left my parents' house that night, I went home and did something I should have done years ago. I started packing. Not in 3 weeks. Now, I called my landlord and asked if I could break my lease early. He agreed with a penalty fee. I paid it. I called my new employer in San Francisco and asked if I could start immediately instead of waiting 3 weeks. They said yes. I called Marcus and told him what happened. Come now, he said. Tonight, tomorrow, whenever you can get here, I'll help you with everything. Within 48 hours, I'd packed my entire apartment into a moving truck, loaded my car, and driven to San Francisco. I didn't tell my parents I was leaving, didn't tell Lauren, didn't say goodbye. They disowned me. As far as I was concerned, I no longer had obligations to them. The drive took 28 hours. I stopped twice to sleep at roadside motels, listened to podcasts, thought about my life, and I realized something. I felt free. For the first time in my entire life, I wasn't trying to earn my parents' approval. Wasn't competing with Lauren for attention. Wasn't making myself small to avoid conflict. I was just Rebecca, making choices for myself, building my own life. Marcus was waiting when I arrived in San Francisco, helped me unload, held me while I finally cried. Are you okay? He asked. I really am. I'm sad, but I'm okay. Do you regret it leaving? No. I regret that it had to happen this way, but I don't regret choosing you, choosing this. I started my new job 2 days later. The work was challenging, engaging, exactly what I wanted. Marcus and I moved in together after 2 weeks. His apartment was twice the size of my Minneapolis place. We turned the second bedroom into a home office for me. We explored the city together, found favorite restaurants, hiked in Marin, drove down to Big Sur for a weekend. I was happy. Genuinely, deeply happy. And for 7 days, my phone stayed silent. My family didn't reach out, didn't text, didn't call to apologize or check on me. And I didn't reach out to them either. On day 8, the calls started. The first call came at 9 in the morning on a Tuesday. I was at work in a meeting about a new project. My phone buzzed on the table, Mom calling, I let it ring. 2 hours later, Dad calling, I let it ring. That evening, while Marcus and I were making dinner, Lauren calling, I let it ring. You're really not going to answer? Marcus asked gently. They disowned me. They told me I wasn't their daughter anymore. I'm just respecting their decision. But what if it's an emergency? Then they can leave a voicemail, they can text, they have options. They didn't leave voicemails, didn't text, just kept calling. Over the next 3 days, I received 47 calls, 19 from my mother, 16 from my father. 12 from Lauren. I didn't answer any of them. On day 4, my mother finally left a voicemail. I listened to it while sitting on Marcus's balcony looking out at the San Francisco skyline. Her voice was tight, controlled. Rebecca, this is your mother. We need to talk about what happened. What you're doing is incredibly immature. You don't just walk away from your family because of one argument. Call me back. Today, one argument, that's what she called it. Disowning me in front of my entire family. One argument. I deleted the voicemail. 2 days later, my father left a message. Rebecca, it's Dad. Your mother is very upset. She didn't mean what she said at dinner. She was just shocked by your announcement. You have to understand, moving across the country is a big decision. We're worried about you. Call us back so we can discuss this like adults. She didn't mean it. That was his excuse. She didn't mean it when she looked me in the eyes and told me I wasn't her daughter anymore. I deleted that voicemail too. Then Lauren called, left a message that night. Becca, it's me. I don't know what's going on with you, but you're being really selfish right now. Mom and Dad are worried sick. I'm trying to plan a wedding and you've just disappeared. I need you to be my maid of honor. I need you here. Please call me back. Selfish. I was being selfish for not answering the phone after being disowned. I saved that voicemail, didn't delete it, wanted to remember exactly what she'd said. The calls continued, every day, multiple times a day, but something interesting started to happen around day 10. The tone changed. On day 11, my mother left a different kind of voicemail. Her voice was less controlled, more desperate. Rebecca, please, I know you're angry. I know I said things I shouldn't have said, but you have to call me back. We can fix this. We're family. You can't just throw away your family because of one mistake. One mistake, still minimizing, still not understanding what she'd actually done, but there was something else in her voice. Fear. She was starting to realize I wasn't playing a game. I wasn't punishing them temporarily. I was actually gone. 2 days later, another voicemail from my father. Rebecca, your mother is really struggling. She hasn't been sleeping. She's barely eating. I know you're upset, but this isn't fair. You're her daughter. She loves you. We all love you. Please just call us. Let us know you're safe. Using my mother's health to guilt me. Classic, but I noticed something. He said she loves you, not we love you and we're sorry for what we did. No apology. Just demands that I make it easier for them. I didn't call back. Then, on day 14, exactly 2 weeks after the dinner, Lauren left a voicemail that changed everything. Becca, you need to come home now. Something's happened. It's about Mom. She's in the hospital. I listened to that message 3 times. She's in the hospital. Was this real? Was my mother actually sick? Or was this a manipulation tactic to force me to respond? I called the one person who would tell me the truth. My Aunt Carol, my mother's younger sister. We'd always gotten along. She'd always treated me fairly, never played favorites between Lauren and me. Aunt Carol, it's Rebecca. Oh my God, Rebecca, are you okay? Your mother said you just disappeared. That you moved to California without telling anyone. I'm fine. I'm in San Francisco. I have a question. Is my mother actually in the hospital? Silence. Then, who told you that? Lauren left me a voicemail saying Mom's in the hospital and I need to come home. Carol sighed heavily. Your mother is not in the hospital. She went to the ER 2 days ago complaining of chest pains. They ran tests. Everything was normal. Anxiety attack. They sent her home. So she's fine? Physically, yes. Emotionally, she's a mess. Rebecca, what happened between you all? I told her everything. The dinner, the disownings, the move, the silent treatment. When I finished, Carol was quiet for a long moment. I'm not surprised, she said finally. What do you mean? Your mother has always favored Lauren. Always. I've tried to talk to her about it over the years, but she doesn't see it. Or she doesn't want to see it. And now that you've actually left, she's panicking. Why? Because deep down she knows she drove you away, she knows she treated you unfairly, and now she has to face that. And your mother doesn't like facing uncomfortable truths about herself. Should I call her back? Do you want to? No, not until she actually apologizes, really apologizes for everything, not just that dinner. Everything? Then don't. You're allowed to set boundaries, Rebecca, even with family, especially with family. After I hung up with Carol, I made a decision. I recorded a video message. Short, clear, to the point. And I sent it to my parents and Lauren. The video was 30 seconds long. I filmed it sitting on Marcus's balcony, the Golden Gate Bridge visible in the background. Hi, this is Rebecca. I know you've been calling. I've been listening to your voicemails. I want to make something very clear. I'm not coming back to Minneapolis. I'm not coming to family dinners. I'm not being Lauren's maid of honor. Mom, you told me I wasn't your daughter anymore. I'm respecting that decision. If you want to repair this relationship, you need to start with a real apology, not an excuse, not a minimization, a real acknowledgement of what you did and why it was wrong. Until then, I'm moving forward with my life. I'm happy here. I have a good job. I'm with someone I love. I'm building something for myself. I wish you all well, but I'm done trying to earn your approval. Goodbye. I sent the video at 8 p.m. San Francisco time, 10 p.m. in Minneapolis. Within 10 minutes, my phone exploded. Texts, calls, voicemails, all angry. My mother, how dare you speak to me like that after everything I've done for you? My father, this is unacceptable, Rebecca. You owe your mother an apology immediately. Lauren, you're destroying this family. I hope you're happy. I turned off my phone, went to bed, slept better than I had in weeks. The next morning, I blocked all 3 of their numbers. Not because I was angry, because I was done. Done with the manipulation, done with the guilt, done with being the forgotten daughter who was supposed to be grateful for scraps of attention. For 2 weeks, I had peace. No calls, no texts. No drama. I focused on work, on Marcus, on my new life. And then 3 weeks after I sent that video, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello, Rebecca. It's Carol. Aunt Carol, hi. I thought I told you I wasn't. I know, I'm not calling about your mother. I'm calling because I need to tell you something you deserve to know. What is it? Your mother's been talking to me. To her friends, about why you left. She's telling people you abandoned the family for a man, that you're being manipulative and cruel, that you're mentally unstable. My blood went cold. She's telling people I'm mentally unstable? Yes. She's making you out to be the villain, saying you had some kind of breakdown, that the family is worried about you. Why are you telling me this? Because it's not true, and because I think you should know that she's escalating. She's not accepting that you left, she's trying to control the narrative. What should I do? Honestly, nothing. Let her spin her story. The people who matter, the people who actually know you, won't believe it. But I wanted you to be aware in case it comes back to you. It came back to me faster than I expected. 2 days after Carol's call, I received a message on LinkedIn from someone I didn't know, a woman named Jennifer Hayes. Hi Rebecca, I'm a friend of your mother's from her book club. She's been telling us about your situation. I just wanted to reach out and say that if you're going through a mental health crisis, there are resources available. Please don't hesitate to get help. A mental health crisis? That's what my mother was telling people. Over the next week, I received 7 similar messages from my mother's friends, from people I barely knew, all offering help for my supposed breakdown. One message from my father's coworker, Rebecca, your dad mentioned you've been struggling lately. Just wanted you to know that what you're going through is normal. Lots of young people have quarter-life crises. But abandoning your family isn't the answer. Another from Lauren's friend, hey, Lauren told me you moved away really suddenly. Are you okay? She's worried about you. She thinks you might be in an unhealthy relationship. An unhealthy relationship. They were trying to make Marcus the villain, trying to make it seem like he'd manipulated me into leaving. I showed the messages to Marcus. This is insane, he said. They're launching a smear campaign. What should I do? You could respond, set the record straight. Or I could do nothing, let them think whatever they want. Are you okay with that? I thought about it, really thought about it. Yeah, I am. Because the people who know me, really know me, won't believe this. And the people who do believe it, I don't need them in my life anyway. But there was one person I did need to respond to. My grandmother. My father's mother, Ruth Hartman, was 84 years old, sharp as a tack, no nonsense. She'd always been kind to me, though we weren't particularly close. She called me 3 days after the LinkedIn messages started. Rebecca Ann Hartman, what in God's name is going on? Hi, Grandma Ruth? Don't hi, Grandma Ruth me. Your mother called me yesterday, told me you've had some kind of breakdown, that you ran off to California with a strange man, that the family is worried sick. Is any of that true? No, Grandma, none of it's true. I didn't think so. Susan has always had a flair for drama. Tell me what really happened. So I did. I told her everything. The dinner, the disowning, the move. The silent treatment, the smear campaign. When I finished, Grandma Ruth was quiet for a long moment. Your mother has always been difficult. I love her. She's my daughter-in-law. But she's always been difficult. What should I do? Do you want to repair this relationship with your parents? Only if they're willing to actually change, to acknowledge what they did, to treat me with the same respect they give Lauren. Otherwise, no? Then don't. Rebecca, you're 32 years old. You don't owe your parents a relationship if that relationship is hurting you. I raised your father to be a better man than this. I'm disappointed in how he's handled this situation. Have you talked to him? I tried. He's defensive, says you're being unreasonable, that you should apologize to your mother. I told him he's being a fool. I almost laughed. What did he say? He got quiet. Your father doesn't like being called a fool. But sometimes the truth hurts. Thank you, Grandma, for believing me. Of course I believe you. I've watched your mother favor Lauren since the day she was born. I've seen how she treats you. I should have said something years ago. That's my failure? It's not your failure, Grandma. You didn't do this. Still, I could have been more supportive of you. I'm sorry for that. We talked for another hour about my job, about Marcus, about San Francisco, about life. At the end of the call, Grandma Ruth said something I'll never forget. Rebecca, you did the right thing, leaving, building your own life. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for choosing yourself, not your parents, not your sister, not anyone. You deserve happiness. Those words meant more than she could know. Because for the first time in my life, someone from my family validated me, supported me, chose me, and it gave me the strength to do what I needed to do next. 4 weeks after I sent the video, I wrote a letter. Not to my parents, not to Lauren, to myself. I needed to process everything that had happened, needed to articulate why I'd made the choices I made, needed to be clear about what I would and wouldn't accept going forward. The letter was 5 pages long, handwritten. I kept it in my desk drawer, but I also wrote a shorter version, a version I sent to my parents and Lauren via email. Subject: Final boundaries to Mom, Dad, and Lauren. I'm writing this email to make my boundaries clear. 1. I will not be returning to Minneapolis except for major life events, weddings, funerals. Even then, my attendance is not guaranteed. 2. I will not be Lauren's maid of honor. I wish her well in her marriage, but I cannot participate in a wedding for a family that disowned me. 3. I will not respond to calls, texts, or messages that contain guilt, manipulation, or attempts to control my decisions. 4. If you want to repair our relationship, it starts with a real apology, not an excuse, not a minimization, an acknowledgement of the harm you caused and a commitment to change. 5. I am open to rebuilding trust over time, but that will require consistent effort on your part. I am not responsible for fixing what you broke. 6. My relationship with Marcus is not up for debate or discussion. He is my partner. He is part of my life. If you cannot respect that, we have nothing further to discuss. 7. I will not tolerate any further smear campaigns. If I hear that you're telling people I'm mentally unstable or in an unhealthy relationship, I will cease all contact permanently. I love you, but I will not sacrifice my happiness and mental health to maintain a relationship that has been one-sided for decades. The next move is yours. Rebecca, I sent the email on a Friday evening, then I turned off my phone for the weekend. Marcus and I drove down to Monterey, stayed at a bed and breakfast, walked on the beach, ate good food, talked about our future. Do you think they'll respond? Marcus asked while we were watching the sunset on Saturday evening. I don't know, part of me hopes they will, part of me doesn't care anymore. What do you want to happen? I want them to actually change, to see me as a person, not just Lauren's less important sister, to treat me with respect, but I'm not holding my breath. And if they don't change, then I move forward without them. I have you, I have my job, I have Grandma Ruth, I have Aunt Carol, I have friends, I have a life. I don't need their approval to be happy. You're pretty amazing, you know that? I smiled. I'm learning. When we got back to San Francisco on Sunday night, I turned my phone back on. 47 missed calls, 63 text messages, but this time the tone was different. The first message I read was from my father. Rebecca, I read your email. I need to call you. Please answer. It's important. The second was from my mother. We need to talk. Please, I'm ready to listen. The third was from Lauren. Becca, I didn't realize how bad things were. Can we please talk? I took a deep breath, and I called my father. He answered on the first ring. Rebecca. Thank God. Hi, Dad. I read your email multiple times and I need to say something. Okay, you're right about everything. We've treated you unfairly for years, favored Lauren, minimized your accomplishments, taken you for granted. And when you finally stood up for yourself, we punished you for it instead of listening. I was silent, shocked. I talked to Grandma Ruth. She told me some hard truths about how I failed you as a father, about how your mother and I created this situation, and she's right. Dad, let me finish, please. I'm sorry, Rebecca. I'm truly sorry. I can't undo the past. I can't give you back the childhood you deserved where both my daughters felt equally loved. But I can do better going forward if you'll give me the chance. My eyes filled with tears. You really mean that? I do. I know I have to earn your trust back. I know it won't happen overnight, but I want to try. Will you let me try? Yes, I'll let you try. Thank you. Can I put your mother on the phone? Okay. There was a pause, shuffling sounds, then my mother's voice. Rebecca, Mom, I owe you an apology, a real one, not an excuse or a minimization. What I said at that dinner was cruel and unforgivable. I told you that you weren't my daughter anymore. That was wrong. You have always been my daughter. You will always be my daughter. And I should have said that immediately instead of letting 2 months go by. I couldn't speak. Tears were streaming down my face. I've spent the last 2 months being angry at you for leaving, telling myself you were being dramatic. Unreasonable, selfish, but Grandma Ruth made me see something. You weren't leaving me. I pushed you away for years, decades really, and you finally decided you deserved better. Mom, you do deserve better. You deserve parents who see you, who celebrate you, who treat you with the same love and attention we gave Lauren. And I'm sorry we didn't do that. I'm sorry I didn't do that. I was crying too hard to respond. I don't expect you to forgive me right away. I don't expect you to come back and pretend everything is fine. But I'm asking for a chance to be better, to be the mother you deserved all along. Okay, I managed to say through tears. Okay, we talked for another hour, really talked, about my childhood, about how I'd felt invisible, about the dinner, about my life in San Francisco. And for the first time in my entire life, my mother actually listened. It's March 2025 now, 6 months since that terrible dinner, 5 months since I moved to San Francisco, 4 months since my parents finally apologized. The healing has been slow, gradual, not perfect. My parents and I talk on the phone once a week now. Sometimes more. We're rebuilding trust piece by piece. They came to visit me in San Francisco in January, met Marcus, took us out to dinner. Apologized to him for the things my mother had said. You make our daughter happy, my father said. That's all we should have cared about from the beginning. Lauren and I are talking again too. She called me in December. I didn't realize how bad it was, she said. How differently they treated us. I knew you weren't as close to them, but I didn't understand why. I thought it was your choice. It wasn't my choice to be invisible, Lauren. It was theirs. I know that now, and I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. I'm sorry I didn't stand up for you. We're not as close as some sisters are. Maybe we never will be, but we're honest with each other now. That's something. Lauren's wedding is in June. I'm not the maid of honor. I'm a bridesmaid, fourth in line, and that's fine with me. I'll fly back for the wedding, stay for 3 days, then come back to San Francisco, to my life, to Marcus. My mother asks me sometimes if I'll ever move back to Minneapolis. No, I always say, this is my home now. I think she understands. Finally, last week my mother sent me a package. Inside was a photo album. Pictures of me as a kid, me at my high school graduation, me at college, me at my first job, and a note that said, I'm sorry I didn't celebrate these moments the way I should have. I'm sorry I didn't see you. I'm going to do better. I love you, Mom. I cried when I read it, put the album on my bookshelf next to the photos of me and Marcus. Because that's what healing looks like, not erasing the past, not pretending it didn't hurt, but acknowledging it, learning from it, building something better. Looking back on everything that happened, I realized something important. When my mother disowned me at that dinner, she was trying to control me. Trying to punish me for making a choice she didn't approve of. And I had 2 options. I could have begged, apologized, tried to earn my way back into her good graces, or I could have walked away, chosen myself, built my own life. I chose myself, and that choice changed everything. It forced my parents to confront their behavior, to see what they'd been doing for decades, to decide if they wanted a relationship with me badly enough to actually change. Not everyone gets that. Not every family is willing to do the work. I'm lucky that mine eventually was. But even if they hadn't changed, I would have been okay. Because I learned that you don't need your family's approval to be happy. You don't need their validation to know your worth. You just need to choose yourself every single time. I'm Rebecca Ann Hartman. I'm 32 years old. I live in San Francisco with the man I love. I have a job I'm good at. A life I'm proud of. And I learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is walk away from people who refuse to see you, even if those people are family, especially if those people are family. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe. Share it with someone who needs to know that it's okay to choose themselves. That family relationship should be built on respect, not obligation. Stay strong, set boundaries. Choose yourself until next time.